Hello students, I am Professor Isha Nandirata from NJ Institute of Engineering and Technology. We have started with the last chapter of our syllabus, that is light semiconductor interaction. Until now we have covered the topics Einstein's theory, principle of laser, semiconductor laser, and we have also discussed what is joint or optical density of states, or you can say density of states for photons, which gives us an idea of the number of radiative transitions and the power generated. In today's video, I am going to discuss a very important topic of our syllabus, that is photovoltaic effect and a solar cell. So starting with the first topic for today, that is photovoltaic effect. Let's see what photovoltaic effect is. What is photovoltaic effect? It was the effect first proposed by Edmund Becquerel in the year 1839. So it was in the year 1839 this effect was proposed. It says the generation of voltage and electric current from a material when it is exposed to light. So voltage as actually current is generated, and if you measure the potential across the device, you will be getting a voltage generated also, and this happens when light is incident on it. So this is basically an idea of what photovoltaic effect is. Let's understand with the help of a simple diagram. In the diagram you can see a normal PN junction diode, wherein the yellow color indicates the junction, the PN junction which is formed in between, that means the depletion layer. So when sunlight is incident on it, now sunlight is having photons. You know the average energy of a single photon is around 2 electron volt. What happens because of this sunlight? When the sunlight is incident on the semiconductor, specifically on the depletion layer, what is depletion layer? It is having immobile ions, immobile atoms in between. So when these photons strike on the depletion layer, what happens? They release electrons. If you connect a load in between them, suppose here a bulb is shown, so because of these electrons generated, these electrons flow across the PN junction, lighting the bulb in between, and this is how electricity is generated. So I can say the photovoltaic effect takes place in devices like solar cells, which are composed of p-type and n-type semiconductors, and this effect. So what exactly happens that when light of suitable wavelength is incident on these cells, the energies from the photons is transferred to the PN junction. This energy causes the electrons to jump to a higher energy level, and if the electrons are jumping to a higher energy level, a hole is created in the lower energy level. So this creation of electron-hole pairs leads to current. Because if electrons are moving, you connect the load in between them, the electrons will flow through the load. Because the electrons are moving and holes are being created, we say that EHP is created, which leads to current. So this is what photovoltaic effect exactly is. Now let's see the device which works on photovoltaic effect, that is solar cell. So this particular cell is also known as a photovoltaic or a PV cell. So let's see what a solar cell is. What is a solar cell? It is an electrical device which converts energy of light directly into electricity by a principle known as photovoltaic effect. This is a simple PN junction diode which is made from semiconductor materials. So if you talk about a solar cell, it is exactly a PN junction only, consisting of a p-type and an n-type layer and a depletion layer in between. Let's see how a solar cell is constructed. So in this diagram, you can just see that the dark green colored portion indicates the n-type material, the light green color indicates the p-type material. In between them, there is a depletion layer formed. What exactly is there in the depletion layer? It has atoms, immobile atoms, which are not able to move, right? We are not supplying any external electric current. In this case, what we are doing is we are just placing the solar cell in sunlight. What happens by absorbing the light or energy from the sun? These photons, when they are incident on the depletion layer, what will this energy do? This energy will energize the electrons in the depletion layer, and these electrons will move out from the depletion layer. Now the electrons which are jumping from the depletion layer, where will they go? They will recombine with the hole but through another circuit. Why not directly? The reason is, you can see here that if I connect a load in between, the electrons are going to move through that load and they will come to the p-type. Now electrons from the junction, why are they not able to move to the p-type? The reason is the p-type already has a layer of negative ions which will repel the electrons. So from the depletion layer, if the electrons move, they will be moving to the n-type material, then they will be moving through the load and they will come to the p-type and recombine with the holes. Now in this case, p-type and n-type, both of them are semiconductors. So exactly what is done in the construction, there is a layer of metals in the form of small bars that is made on the top surface. Entire layer is not covered with the metal. The reason is, if you cover the entire surface with the help of metal, sunlight won't be absorbed. On the bottom side, the entire layer is covered or painted with a layer of metal. Why is this done? To increase the conductivity of electrons. The moment the electron enters the metal, its conductivity is going to increase because metals have low resistance. Then there is an anti-reflecting coating done. What is the need of having an anti-reflecting coating? So that the light which is incident does not reflect, or it reflects. See, 0% reflection is not possible, but what we do is we actually minimize the reflection. Because if the light incident, more portion of the light is reflected back, absorption would be less and the current generated would be less. So there is a layer of anti-reflection coating on the solar cell which increases the absorption capacity. Also, I would like to say that the N layer on the top is having less thicknesses compared to P. Because if the thickness of N is more, what will happen? The sunlight won't be able to penetrate the junction and release electrons from within. So that is the reason one of the layers is kept of less thickness. So this is exactly how a solar cell is constructed. Now let's see what are the materials which are used in the construction of solar cells. So the materials which are used for this purpose should have a band gap which is close to 1.5 electron volt. Why? Because the energy of a single photon from sunlight is approximately 2 electron volt. So if you are having materials having a greater or a higher energy band gap, then the energy would be insufficient for the release of electrons. Some of the materials used are silicon, copper, indium selenide, that is an alloy of copper, indium and selenium. Now let's move on and understand the working of a solar cell with the help of energy band diagram. The energy band diagram shown here is an energy band diagram of a PN junction combined. So in a PN junction combined, we have a depletion layer and this is what is indicated by the steep or the slope you can see in the diagram. Now we have P side on the left portion and N-type material on the right portion. N side is having electrons and P side is having holes in the valence band. In between them, the red colored electrons and the black colored holes indicate the depletion layer. What happens when light is incident on this depletion layer? From the depletion layer, the electrons are being released and they move to the N side. Why they move to the N side? Because these electrons, if directly they are trying to move to the P side, they will be repelled by the layer of negative ions on the P side, and that is the reason they move to the N side. If a load is connected between N and P, these electrons will move through the load and they will come to the P terminal, and this is how your solar cell works. Now let's discuss what are the parameters of a solar cell with the help of a graph. Parameters here I mean characteristics of solar cell. Whenever we discuss characteristics, we would be discussing with respect to voltage and current. So voltage on the x-axis and current on the y-axis. We have PV in volts, that is the photovoltaic voltage it is representing, and currents in amperes. You can just see the blue colored characteristics which indicate the ideal relation between voltage and current for a solar cell. But actually the orange colored portion indicates the practical parameters. So there is always a difference between ideal and actual. Ideal means what should be there and practical means what exactly is, how exactly the solar cell behaves. You can see there is a point I have labeled short circuit current ISC, that is the maximum value on the y-axis, and you can also notice the maximum value on the x-axis which I have labeled as VOC, which means the open circuit voltage. Now let's discuss what exactly these parameters are. What do you mean by the term short circuit current? The current output when the load impedance is very, very small. When you say the load connected tends to 0, the resistance tends to 0, we would say the current is known as the short circuit current. What do you mean by the term VOC? It is known as open circuit voltage. It is the voltage output where the load impedance is infinity. If the load resistance is infinity, there would be maximum drop there. So you get the voltage as VOC, because if maximum dropping is across the resistance, your cell will behave like an open circuit. And that is the reason the voltage we measure is known as VOC, or the open circuit voltage. Now let's see the product of open circuit voltage and short circuit current from the solar cell is known as the ideal power output, and we can say that P ideal is equals to VOC into ISC, that is open circuit voltage into short circuit current. But actual power is slightly less than the ideal power, and it is denoted as P max is equals to VM into IM. So instead of VOC, the voltage we measure is VM, and instead of ISC, the current we get is IM. And what is the relation between these two powers? It is known as the fill factor of the solar cell. So the fill factor FF is defined as P max upon P ideal, the actual power upon the ideal power, and it can be written as IM VM upon ISC VOC. So this is the ratio of power generated, which is known as the fill factor of the solar cell. Now let's see the efficiency of solar cell. So efficiency of the solar cell is defined by eta is equals to VMIM, means the maximum or the practical power from the solar cell upon the incident power. What is the ratio between the power generated upon the power incident is what is the meaning of efficiency. Efficiency of solar cell is around 15 to 20%. Next we have optical losses in a solar cell. What can be the losses in a solar cell? One of the loss can be mismatch of band gap of material with the solar spectrum. We know the band gap of solar spectrum is around 2 electron volt. So if you choose a material which has a higher band gap, the efficiency would be very, very low. So if there is a mismatch, it can lead to an optical loss. Then we have total spectrum of solar energy is not absorbed. The entire solar energy is not being absorbed by the solar cell. Now this can happen if the anti-reflecting coating is not present or is not proper. So what happens? The light is reflected and absorption is not proper. Then you have less intensity of light or reflection loss of light. If the intensity of light is less, could give you an example of cloudy season, rainy season where the solar intensity is less. Or you can also say the reflection loss. If more light is reflected, there will be a loss in the solar cell. Now let us discuss some remedies which are used to overcome these losses. The first one is proper selection of materials increases the efficiency of solar cell. Like I mentioned in the earlier part of the video, we have to select such materials which have a band gap close to 1.5 eV. Then we have solar cells can be made thicker for more absorption of light. Because if the solar cell is comparatively thicker, that means the depletion layer will be more. You can say if they are more doped, they can lead to a higher efficiency and more absorption of light. Then you have anti-reflection coatings should be present to increase the absorption. Lastly, optical path length can be increased by texturing the surface or by trapping the light. You can just trap the light more to get more absorption. So these are some of the remedies which can overcome the optical losses in the solar cell. Now let us discuss what are the merits or advantages of solar cells. Starting with the first one, for this type of a conversion, input energy is available at no cost. So it is free of cost. The solar energy or the sunlight we get is free of cost. Then we have process is free from pollution. The solar output or the solar power that is generated does not cause any pollution. And lastly, we have maintenance cost is comparatively less. What are the demerits of using a solar cell? The first one says input solar energy is not always constant. It changes with the time of day and also changes with the season. You can say summers you have the maximum solar energy, but coming on to rainy season or monsoon, the energy is reduced. Also, if you talk about the daytime, solar energy absorption is more compared to nights. Next demerit is the module requires a large area to be installed. You require a huge area and a huge panel so that absorption energy is more. And solar cells have comparatively lower efficiency because it depends on many factors. That is the reason the efficiency is comparatively low. Now let us discuss some applications of solar cell. So starting with the first one, it is used in photovoltaic power plants as a standalone or grid connected system. It can be used in domestic lighting, water pumps, TV, mobile towers, etc. You can also use it in battery recharging stations because it is free of cost and causes less pollution. It is used in medical applications as well. Used to power the aircrafts, also solar panels are used because it's a freely available energy source. Then we have used as a street light in rural areas. You might have noticed that all the street lights nowadays are using solar panels because the entire day they absorb the energy and at the night time they give us light. Then you have used in domestic applications, and lastly it is used in water drip irrigation system. So all the applications I have not mentioned, but I've tried to cover some of the applications of solar cell here. So in today's video, we have discussed what is photovoltaic effect, what is a photovoltaic cell, how is it constructed, how does it work, some merits, demerits, losses and remedies, and some of the applications of solar cells. I hope you have understood all the topics I discussed very well. I will be starting with the next topic of the chapter, that is Rood model, in my coming video. Till then, take care. Thank you.